form for me is huge. If I'm swinging, the weight's too heavy. I'm real big about form. Right now, my goal is 3 plates on the bench. So I went from 225 to 290 in 6 weeks.
Wowzers. Perry, good morning, sir.
I get to meet the legend.
I get to meet the legend. I think that's probably more.
I don't know about that.
How's things going for you this morning?
Woke up next to my beautiful wife this morning. I got my coffee on hand. Got my breakfast already in me. Ready to go. Ready to rock and roll.
You're slaying the day already, aren't you? Everything's amazing already.
Everything's amazing already. Yeah.
Good for you.
And I got a job, which is good. So,
that's always useful. Well, listen, look, First of all, thanks for, wanting to come on the podcast and have a bit of a conversation with me. I always genuinely appreciate it, getting to talk to people. I know a little bit about your journey because I've been sort of seeing what's been going on. And so tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do. What's always interesting is what was happening that made you want to join a program like ours. So where were you back at that point? How were you feeling? What were you struggling with? What you were concerned about? Tell us a little bit about that, so we've got a bit of context for the rest of the conversation.
Gotcha. So I was actually born in England. I was born in South Ruislip, and I'm actually dual citizen. I got my English and American passport. Believe it or not. So
Nice.
Been in the States. I'm 61 years old. I work for the Cal OSHA, so I work enforcement. I investigate fatalities and accidents, so that's kind of what I do for a living. My goal is basically, strange story, I just met my real dad 5 years ago, right? My real dad. And he was actually Mr. United Kingdom 4 years in a row in the 60s. And before he passed away, I told him, hey, he had this amazing, his back was incredible. And back then, everything was natural, right? So before he passed away, I said, Dad, I'm going to get back like yours. So that's been my journey to get back like my dad. And he died, almost 2 years ago now. But what's great was I found him on Ancestry.com. And what's really neat was he always wanted a son. He never had one. He had 4 daughters. So at 89 years old, he finally had the son that he always wanted.
Wow.
So, but I've been working out pretty much, I'm 61. So since I was 14, on and off over the years. Kind of what I got with you guys was I've had trainers in the past, some really good trainers. I mean, they're well known, but I wasn't getting the results that I was looking for. I get to the first one I went to, his first name was Ray. Was pretty good, got almost to where I wanted to be, but then I had that plateau where I just kind of stopped getting to where I wanted to be, right? So then went with another guy, then COVID hit, and then I don't do resistant bands, and then I saw you on LinkedIn, and I was like, hey, for the busy guy, the busy person out there, we could help you out, right? So I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I actually flew you off a couple of times. And then we had a meeting. Long story short, and hooked up with Harry, your new trainer. I was actually his first client. Amazing guy, right? And I've been with y'all, I think 2 months now.
Yep. And
this has been amazing. I've been making these incredible gains. Harry is very knowledgeable. Obviously, he's got you as a coach, and then Sean, I believe is her name, right?
Yep.
As his mentor as well. The other trainers I've had online, because my schedule, I can't have an in-person trainer. I could go on accidents at any time, right? So the online trainer thing works for me because, one, I have to be accountable for myself. I'm not going to pay money and just throw it away and not use it. But your program is kind of like have an in-person trainer as opposed to the other online trainers I have. I'd send a video, I get a response maybe 2-3 days later, maybe, or I get a thumbs up, on my questions or whatever. And I wasn't getting what I was getting. But with you guys, it's kind of like having an in-person trainer. Harry is amazing. I'll send a video of what I'm doing. And then, since the time difference is 8 hours time difference, I'll send it. I wake up in the morning, ding, there's a video of him critiquing my video in person. Basically it's personalized to me. So I find that, one, it's motivating because, one, I'm his first client. I don't want to let him down because I want to make him look good. So he gets that corner office, right? So, right.
Don't say that. He'll listen to this and he'll be like, Andy, is there a corner office for me somewhere? But I do. If we live in a round building, I don't know. But all jokes aside, yeah.
Yeah, no, but seriously, it's been. I've been very impressed with you guys.
You said there wasn't getting the results that you particularly wanted, and so you were maybe starting to feel that you were maybe going around in circles. Obviously, trying to build that back. Is that top goal? Build back, drop some fat. What would you say were the big things that you were trying to achieve or struggling with?
my body shape, right? So I've been struggling with this gut. So for 61, I'm actually a kind of a strong guy. I mean, but I always had, good size arms. My legs are strong, but I always had this gut I've been just struggling with. So I've been with y'all, the gut's gone. I'm trying to fine tune it. I lost 50 pounds. So I got that little flap thing going on, the excess skin, which, whatever. I just want to get a butter knife and just cut it off, right? But I don't think that'll work. But
we wouldn't suggest.
We would recommend that. It wasn't part of the program, right? So basically, I just want to eventually, my goal is to get to almost like the shape where I could compete, but not that tight, right? But I want to get in really good shape. So to be honest, my goal is like when I die, I want them to say, "Damn, you look good." Right. And that's pretty much so I don't want to have a shitload of people have to carry my casket. Maybe one or two could carry it, And,
you want a casket that's also like super V shaped. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like yeah. So that's the goal. I just want to kind of feel good about myself, because I could gain weight real easy. Like my wife, she's from Hong Kong. She can eat like a horse. And then I could look at a bunch of meals and gain 5 pounds, whereas she eats a crap load of food. And she's tiny and she's been amazing. We work out together at the same time, and she's just been incredible with her journey as well. I mean, people come up to her and like, "Who's your trainer?" She's like, "YouTube," So, but she's got this amazing back. But my goal is just basically to look good and feel good about myself.
And so, think back to then. Obviously, you were struggling, wanting to achieve these things, tried a few things, not worked. We pop up. You're like, which is what most people are like. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Hang on a second. Maybe this is worth at least investigating. So you've done that. You've come on board. So then let's say you're now with Coach Harry, and he's delivering plans. Like, were there any initial aha moments where obviously we've delivered something like, "Oh, that's what were your thoughts and feelings of the initial plans laid out? How did that very first stages go?"
So, like y'all offer the meal plans. That doesn't work for me. With my schedule, I'm an investigator, so I could be in my office. I could plan to be there all day long, and all of a sudden, boom, I have to go or something, right? And I could be out for hours. I said, macros work great for me. There was no real horror moments. There was like, okay, this is different, as for the workouts that y'all do, like the laying down on your back with the overhead cable, right? I've never seen that before, and I've never done that before, but it actually works, that's pretty darn good, right?
Yep.
But macros work for me, and I'm able to maintain the macros. I've been using MyFitnessPal for years, so it's second nature, so everyone knows when I sit down, that app comes out and I measure my stuff.
It's funny. Some people, and there's no wrong or right here, like I'll say the best nutrition plan for someone to be on is the one that they don't realize that they're on. If I said you're going to go on a diet, it's like straight away it's negative, isn't it? And some people need to see and want to see you will eat this, and this in meal 1 at this time, and this, and this in meal 2 at this time. And of course, for most people, that's what they want and need. For some people, it's like, okay, today, in your goal right now, I'm not saying this is your numbers, but let's say, right, you need to eat 2,500 calories a day. Don't go over, don't go under. 200 grams of that needs to be protein, and then you can mix and match the carbs between it. Like that would be a good style. And then you would say, and food choices, 80% of stuff that grew in the ground, grew on a tree, or had a face, and then 20% little bit of stuff that you like.
Right.
For most people, that structure, if they just darn well followed it, would see most people miles towards their goal. Now, I think your goal might be a bit further. You want to look like you could compete. So there would be some further fine tuning that needs to be done. But if most adults, hopefully, if we said this is what you need to achieve, you've got a set of scales and you've got a phone, you can now go and, now you know what foods to eat, should be able to do that. And I think where most people think a nutrition plan is going to be really restrictive, I'm going to have to eat the same stuff at the same time every day, which really isn't that bad a thing to do.
I do that, actually.
I was going to say, most people get themselves into a muddle because they have too much variety, too many options, no structure. If someone says to me,
Alphas, I interrupt this show with a simple message. This show is here to benefit you and your progression to the best version of yourself. But not only just you, it's also here to benefit the people around you, your loved ones, your friends, other alphas in your vicinity. So why not do a really cool thing today? Something that I would thank you for and maybe someone else would. Share this podcast with at least one other alpha out there who you know would benefit from it. Why not share the information, share the ability for someone else to grow? I'm sure they would thank you. I 100% would absolutely thank you. This podcast only grows by our listeners, our followers doing amazing things like giving us 5-star reviews, downloading podcasts, subscribing, and then, of course, sharing it with other people. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Share it with one person, and, of course, drop us a 5-star review, download the podcast, and, of course, subscribe. And now back to the show.
I couldn't eat the same things at the same time every day. Oh, I can't do that. And if I said to someone, well, let's just hypothetically say, I'm going to lock you in a prison, right? You're in a prison. And I'm going to feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they're exactly the same meal. So you're going to get chicken, just for example, chicken and rice, chicken and rice, chicken and rice. Eventually, you'll thank me for that food, and you darn well eat it. You're a human. It's food, it's protein, it's carbs. You'll eat it. Right. So in other words, it can be done. Does anyone want to do that? No. Do we get anyone to do that? Obviously not. But where people in their mind think, oh, I couldn't stick to something, it's no, you haven't been given the right thing for you to stick to. And for you, having the macros and then being like, oh, today I don't fancy chicken and that, I'm going to have fish and this. Or I don't fancy that and that, I'm going to have this and that. But by the end of the day, when you pick up My Fitness Pal, it says so many calories, so many protein, carbs, fats. You're like, I've killed it in the day. No problem, job done. So that's how you're running your nutrition. Dead simple, dead straightforward. And it works for you, right?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if I have leftover proteins or whatever, then I have a shake. Our meal, and my wife is great because she's on the same path as me. So Monday, Tuesday is salmon and greens. Wednesday and Thursday is pork and greens, and Fridays is shrimp and greens for dinner, right? Breakfast is exactly the same thing every morning. Lunch is pretty much the same thing. If I'm out in the field, I go to Pollo Loco, I get a 3-piece chicken with broccoli and salad. And that's pretty much, and I've been doing that for a while. People
overthink the nutrition side of things, and I understand it. I get it. But people say I'm a foodie, me, and I'm like, we're all foodies, I think, to some description. People get overwhelmed because this is the area of the fitness industry that can be played on so much. Or you've got to eat for your body type. You've got to eat for your blood type. You can't eat this. You can't eat carbs. You carnivore. People are confused. And understandably so, because everyone's trying to sell something. Like you can't have this. You've got to have just my shakes. You can't do this. You can have all of this, but you've got to take this supplement. And the reality is, it's got way overcomplicated. People are confused. And again, given the type of demographic that we look after, very busy business person, essentially, they need simplicity. Simplicity doesn't mean bad. It just means simple, easy to follow, effective. And that's where we come in to try to. So you've obviously nailed the nutrition part. Tell me a bit about the training. Like, have we started to introduce some exercises you hadn't done before? And obviously have the critiques helped in terms of form? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So, like I said, I've been working out for a long time. And so when I do my videos of my lifts, send to Harry, 9 times out of 10 is like, that was perfect, because I have that knowledge base, right? And when I first started with y'all, I said, hey, I already know about macros, I already eat clean, and my form for me is huge, right? If I'm swinging, the weight's too heavy. It's all about keeping your elbows in, tucked in, doing the right way. Form is everything. So I'm real big about form. Right now, my goal is 3 plates on the bench. So I went from 225 to 290 in 6 weeks.
Wowzers.
Yeah. And every week I'd increase by 5 pounds. And then he's been getting me. And so my goal now is 3 plates. Now I'm on my deloading phase, which was well needed because that shoulder was a little sore because I'm not used to lifting that kind of weight. So now we're working on more reps, a little less weight, then working on the tries on the narrow bench press, trying to build that strength right there. And so the knowledge base that you guys have, it's been real good because I've been lifting for on and off for 46 years. I'm not too old to learn stuff.
2 quick things there. One, things change constantly in terms of exercise, science and understanding. And, that's one thing that's moving. Again, loads of fluff that is stuff that we don't need to think about, but there's always things that are changing. But what you've just said there is you have an open mindset. That's a huge part. Like if someone is coachable in any area of their life, they will move forward. But then also, I mean, we when someone joins, one of the questions they have is, who's my coach going to be? And they're like, great question. We have a choice, a selection of coaches, and we pick who we believe will be the best coach for that person. And we're like, we're 95% perfect with that choice. The 5% that we're not, personality clash, because you can't equate for when that's just going to happen. But outside that, we're really good because we've been doing it for a long time. And where Harry, your coach Harry, is like particularly with strength-based building, all my coaches are way more qualified than me. This is really interesting. Like the amount of people that come into the program and they're like, oh, you know, I like Andy to train me, and my answer is, do you? I'm like, my coaches, I've hired coaches way better than me. You want those guys? Like they're the shit. They know what they're talking about. They know their stuff. Like Harry, particularly when it comes to strength building, obviously with his powerlifting background and so on. You know, if someone came in and said, I want to improve this lift, I want to improve this particular strength, like you have exactly the right coach. And I guess that then leads into like the accountability side of things, the weekly check-ins, the communication. What's that side of things been like for you?
Oh, that's been awesome. So that's another thing that's new for me as for my previous coaches. Our previous coaches, we check in once a month. Supposed to do a Zoom meeting, but we miss it. You know, things come up. And Harry's been spot on. Every Wednesday morning, I get the notice, hey, today's a check-in. I do it while I'm cooking my breakfast. I send it in. I get feedback that day. Once a month, I have a Zoom meeting with him, right? We have a face-to-face, and talk about we've done the past month, the goals for the future, where we're going. So there's like no surprises, right? So like before I did the deloading week, he said, hey, we're going to deload start next week. And this is what it is. And this is why we're doing it, right? Give your body a chance to recover, prevent some injuries. So the check-in's been great. Feedback's been great. The macros, I tell him, he's got me on 1,847 macros a day. I'm pretty much close, sometimes a little off, here and there. And then like one day we went to a party and I went a little bit over zealous. I went to my mom's. I had too many cookies that weekend, right? So I said, dude, I had too many cookies. So we're going to adjust your macros for the week.
Yep.
Kind of play catch up.
Back in. Yep.
Yeah. You got back in. So,
and this is key. I don't know if I go back to my mom's, like if I go back to Easter, Christmas, anything like that. Like me and my mom my mom gave me my sweet tooth. Like I have a sweet tooth. Cookies, biscuits, like that, anything like that. Like so, cookies particularly, I'm an absolute sucker for them. And if my mom makes a dessert, I'm having 2 portions of it. I don't give a damn about anything. I'll deal with the repercussions in the week after. In other words, I'll move a little bit more and I'll pull my calories down.
Right. We had a margarita like maybe 5 weeks ago. Yeah. Right. And that's it. So we're always conscious, even on if I get a cheat day, I'm still conscious in the back of my head. Okay, I'm not going to go overboard because I worked this hard to get to where I am now. And I'm not going to blow it just to have, whatever. So it's a great mindset to be in. And certainly when you're pushing hard to get to a particular goal, you need to align as many things with that goal as you possibly can for the greatest chance of success. When we were back in our 20s, we could trip over losing weight and trip over building muscle. It's easy. As we progress up in years, I'm 45, it just gets more difficult. Injuries are easier, so we have to be smarter with how we train. Metabolism's not an issue until other side of 70, really. There's no real evidence to suggest that metabolism actually truly slows down for other side of 70. People think it slows down because they're just moving less and eating poorly and generally speaking, poor lifestyle. They're slowing down. It's
exactly that. So looking into the future then, obviously you after the 3 plates, obviously that's a big goal. Yeah. That's a big goal on the horizon. So you come back after the deload, go after the 3 plates. What else would you say is in the sort of goal agenda outside that particular one?
Just kind of fine tune the body and because I know as I get older, the 3 plates is kind of the big goal for me. And then once I get there, like, okay, I'm good. I did it. Right.
Yeah. And then tick it off.
And then because I was watching your video yesterday, you talked about, making gains, doesn't always have to mean adding weight. You just adding even a half good rep. 1 half perfect rep is a gain. Right. So I still can make gains, not by maybe not gaining weight, but maybe add more reps.
Yeah. And I think this is a smart thing to do I would say for any of us, like for mid 40s where I am, to where you are, we have to think smart. I could move more weight when I train than I do now, but I know if I get injured, like if my left hamstring wants to get injured, my right elbow, like there's certain bits that I know if I mess them up, that's weeks out of training. And I love training. So I would like leg press for me. I mean, as an example, I train in the sort of 16 to 20 rep range, which for most people are like, oh, that's really high. I'm like, no, but I can absolutely smash the living heck out of my legs. I can make them grow. And it's not a weight that I'm under that scares the hell out of me. Because if I was to pick a weight that was like 6 to 8 to 10 reps, something would go somewhere. Like, so and so I think you're right. Like it's about being smart, and you'll get to 3 plates, and then maybe it's okay. Well, I don't want to go beyond 3 plates because shoulders are happy where they are. Maybe it's an extra set. Maybe it's an extra. Like I count half reps, but perfect half reps, because there'll be a point where, let's say you're pressing, you're not getting all the way back up here. That's not failure to me. I will then count all the partials to the point where it doesn't move, if I want to. And sometimes I'll count all the partials all the way down. I'm quite precise when I do that. And I just write in my logbook, like 12p, which tells me, it just tells me that I counted all the partials to the point where nothing happened. Right. Now, that to me is failure. Now, if I did that on every set, which I sometimes have done, you then can't recover from that. Like I physically can't recover. Like I'm literally curled up in bed as I get home and I go straight back to sleep because my body's just like, can't cope with it. So we have to be smart. Pleasure to properly meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for taking some time and coming and talking to me. I suggest we maybe do this again at some point when you're a little bit further down and you've ticked off the 3 plates and you've got a back the size of your dad and Dorian Yates and you're where you want to be. And let's jump on again and have another conversation. I think it's always nice to touch base. But listen, for now, absolute pleasure talking to you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. It's great meeting you.
Take care. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.